Communication. We hear it all the time. And yet, what are we doing to improve it? I can make this simple. I can make it so everybody gets it right the first time. In fact, with all the technology we have, with even PowerPoint that I'm using, I could make it so that all the F's go up really big and bright and everything else fades out. There's a number of things I can do. Now, it seems a little bit ridiculous. Probably wouldn't do that with procedures. But there's things we can do to make a difference out there. Who can read that to me? Somebody raise your hand. Okay, what does it say?
According to research at an English university, it doesn't matter what order the letters are in a word are the only important thing that the first and last letter is the right place. The reset can be total messes and you can still read it without problem. This is because we do not read every letter by itself, but the word as a whole.
Okay, I got a question for you. Does it really say that?
No,
Well, why did you say what you said then? Why did you read it?
because that's what my brain.
Isn't it amazing? Our brains are brilliant. We have been able to do so many amazing things, and I love this. I could write an entire book this way, and the majority of people can read it. Not only read it and interpret it, but gain material from it, get comprehension, and be able to repeat what the book was about. It's crazy. I've had people with dyslexia come up and say, well, it's like that all the time. And the thing that saves them is that very thing. As long as the letters are in the right place, they're able to decipher it typically and read it. But that's great, but it also tells me another thing. Even though we're brilliant, we have a chance to make mistakes. If we see words that are similar, written like that, our brains are going think of how fast they're processing information. It's easy if we look at something, we might misinterpret it. That's good to understand and know. It's good to double check. Okay. We're going to have fun here. Oh, you got to see that, even the very best. Isn't that great? Okay. Phrase recall exercise. And I'm bouncing forward. There's a reason I'm doing this, because I got some material I want you to see that's important. Phrase recall exercise. This is another one of those little tricky exercises. I want to see what you can remember. Now, I was just keying in on the fact our senses, our ability to decipher information has just happened at milliseconds, right? What senses do we use in order to gather information and to process it in our brains and then act on it? What senses?
Sight.
Sight?
Hearing.
Sound, hearing, smell,
Feel.
feel. Okay? Is emotions a sense?
Yeah.
Emotions, maybe? What's the one sense that brings back the most memory? Smell. Now, I don't know, this is always kind of embarrassing, but every time my little sister wore Primo perfume all through high school, I cannot stand that stuff. It just gags me. I'm sure she felt the same about Brute, so. But I smell that and it triggers me instantly. I go back to high school. Wild cherry bubble yum. It reminds me of a girl named Angie, and we'll leave it at that. But it's amazing how smells do that. In this exercise, I'm going to give you 5 seconds, but I want you to realize all of the senses you're using to gather data, process what is being seen up here. You get 5 seconds, and then we're going to talk about what you saw. Ready? Go. Okay, what did you see?
Burning building.
Burning building.
Paris in the spring.
Paris in the spring. Bird in the hand.
Once in a lifetime.
Once in a lifetime. 3 phrases, okay? Anything else? Truck.
Scratchy noise.
What's that?
Scratchy noise.
Scratchy noise. Okay? Let's do it again. What do you think? Anything different? You see anything else? Anybody see the crane?
Yeah.
You saw it. That's what you're going to say, huh?
I saw
Okay.
it first time.
Anybody hear anything?
Yes.
Although that's kind of quiet, I realize. What'd you hear? Applause? Some people hear crackling fire. Here's what's always kind of interesting about these, just kind of demonstrate how easy it is to misinterpret something. That actually says Paris in the spring and once in a lifetime, a bird in the hand. Is that a proper phrase? Anybody notice that? Not that it's a very significant thing, but it is a thing. It is something that's an error, but we didn't see it because we're blowing through that. Again, time pressure. And then think about how time pressure affects the jobs that you're doing out there. Think about how time pressure may impact your desire to hurry, to maybe not look behind you, to maybe not see what's going on in the, I don't know if you work in trenches or what's going on, but how is time pressure impacting that? And then think about how important it is to recognize that up front and to not let that impact the things that matter. Making sure that we're taking a moment to go and truly ensure, if we're supervisors, our guys are safe, they're wearing PPE, and things are great. I just had to terminate a guy yesterday because he violated a safety procedure for the 3rd time. Sliced his thumb open, wasn't wearing the cut-resistant gloves that is required per procedure that he signed off on. He just lost a great job because of it. It's like, how much more can we do? You know, and the poor guy's got a laceration. He can't do anything right now for at least 10 days, but he got terminated because of it. And you think, well, that's kind of ruthless. Well, that's his 3rd violation. What do you think the 4th might lead to? You've got to take action. Yeah, it's just not good. So that's always interesting. There's a crane right here. There's a truck right there. Over here is cargo containers. This is actually a building on the INL. There was a big range fire that came across in about 1997, 98. And they actually had to evacuate because it was headed directly from this building. This is the old advanced test reactor that's no longer there, but that's what it was. Well, what's interesting is you think about the senses used to decipher what's going on. We're using sight. Our sight is seeing all kinds of stuff. We're using smell sometimes. Believe it or not, some people can tell you what the smell of a range fire smells like. And they can, even though they're not actually smelling it, it triggers in their mind. They're hearing applause. We highlight these phrases with colors and shapes to try and make it focus on them. And the trick to that is your brains decipher it, just bang, bang, bang. You don't even really think about it. Familiar phrases. So it's kind of interesting. We have what we call error precursor cards. Error precursor cards are a big help to us. And I'll get some up here to you. I've got a whole gob of them. I should have brought some with me. I thought I did, but I don't. But I can get those here to Terry or to whoever. But these are great. They're little wallet-sized cards or lanyard cards. But the beauty is you create your own. If you want to change something, change it. But to define what this is, we've determined that any individual out working on a job, you're working in one of 4 categories. You're either impacted by task demands, whatever the job is, the work environment that you're in, your individual capabilities, and then human nature. And we list them in order of frequency and severity. So if you'll look really quick at task demands, number 1 on there is time pressure. Now we hit on that quite a bit today, but that has a big impact on us. Time pressure is always something that we're contending with. Would you believe a lot of time pressure is self-imposed? More than the organization pushing or time crunches? We self-impose time pressure on ourselves a lot because at some degree we need a little bit of drama to motivate us. It keeps us moving, it keeps us going. But that's something to be aware of. Number 2 up there, high workload. Lots of memory requirements. There are some jobs that are pretty significant. You got to know a number of things before you can do them accurately and successfully. That adds to this. Now let's drop down here. Lack of or unclear standards. Unclear goals, roles, and responsibilities. We see that a lot with people out there working. We're like, okay, what's your role? Nah, I don't know, I'm just pushing the broom. Well, what's the safety significance to what you're doing? Don't get hurt. You know, you get that. And I'm not saying it's hard. We don't have to spend hours on it. But maybe that individual needs to understand that, hey, you know what? I realize you're just pushing your broom and you need to make sure you don't get hurt, but you're working right next to a boiler that's, you know, right now the outside temperature is about 27,000 degrees. You need to be aware of that. Know how to prevent yourself from backing up into it, taking those steps, something like that. Work environment, distractions. We ever have distractions in our lives? BYU Idaho ring a bell? And look at what's going on. I don't know, even, you know, we make fun. Idaho Falls makes fun of 1J1. I'm sure you make fun of the dumb 8 beers. I mean, I just love it. I think it's funny. But up here, you get a gamut of people to point fingers at. Man, I'm seeing Tennessee, Massachusetts. Like, seriously, you drove over here from Massachusetts? I think it's cool. But there's an influx of kids at varying levels of understanding and knowledge and ability to truly drive safely. I always, when the snow flies, I think, oh man, those poor guys up there working. Those poor officers having to deal with that. So distractions are big. Workarounds. Hidden system responses. Jump up to individual capabilities. First one up there, unfamiliarity with tasks. First time doing it. Would you believe one of the most significant events I had to deal with was because we put somebody in a very, how do I say it, a very unsafe, hazardous environment. Told them to do a very specific task that required a lot of understanding, knowledge, and familiarity with it. And once we got them in there, they actually made a mistake, and then we found out that was their very first time of ever doing it. Up to that point, they just read it in the textbook and were just kind of hoping the supervisor would walk them through it. They didn't want to tell them it was my first time. They were trying to do the right thing because they wanted to, you know, they wanted to advance. And then to make matters worse, the supervisor got a phone call and left. So they made a very catastrophic mistake. Now, it wasn't like life or death or meltdowns or anything, but it was a mistake that led to some major, about 3 weeks of, you know, review and looking at it and understanding what went wrong. So that's significant. We need to know. Boy, if it's your first time and it's something that you're a little bit shaky on, say something. So I'm not sure on this, man. Can you come down and just be there with me? I'll do it. But will you be there and walk me through it a little bit and make sure I don't do something dumb? It's good to ask for that kind of help. Down here, lack of proficiency. Do people that don't have proficiency in something want to come forward if they think there's a raise or whatever on the job, on the line? They're not going to tell you. Not always, unless you have the right kind of a culture that does that. Drop down to human nature, stress. No, you guys don't have any stress in your life, do you? Anybody have teenagers at home? Are those teenagers female? I'm just curious. Actually, my boys are bigger pain because they're like me. Okay. Habit patterns. Habit patterns are big. Complacency, mindset, inaccurate risk perception, and I've even put sugar cycle down here. What happens to you after you've had a big lunch about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you know you're going to go home at 5?
Fall asleep.
Oh, man, it gets brutal. There's times you can hear the second hand tick, tick. So I put sugar cycle in there. But the beauty of this is you can create your own. Things that impact you and your organization out there in the field. If I go through this and take just a few minutes to think, okay, what do we got going on today? We're going to do this job, and as we do this job, we've got a little time pressure. The mayor's screaming at us to get it done, so that's a big deal. Let's see, do we have any irrecoverable acts? What could happen out there that might get us in trouble? If we identify 3 to 5 of those things on there, number one, we better start looking at mitigations for the hazard. We either need to fix that, make it safer, or eliminate it. And if we can't, we better rethink what we're doing. Maybe there's something we're missing. But that's how we use that card. It's an idea to go out there and really look at the job, make sure that we're doing the right thing. And they're helpful. And they don't take a long time. They don't. Now, I'm going to jump forward to something else here that's kind of fun. Avoidance of mental strain. I want to talk about the limitations of human nature for a couple of minutes. Avoidance of mental strain. As humans, that is common. We want to avoid mental strain at all times. Anybody hunt in here? Okay? Island Park area? Anybody go whipping Island Park on mountain bikes or anything? You enjoy the park? It's beautiful, right? What's one of the concerns that we have to be really conscientious of up there?
Grizzly bear.
Grizzly bears, right? They're there. Anybody come across one? That's kind of, I was up elk hunting, archery hunting. I had a grizzly bear come within 30 yards of me. And I didn't know what to do, man. You could hear my heart from about a mile away. And I'll tell you what, I was so tuned into what that bear was doing, the minute it got to where I thought it was out of the way, I got up and left. It was just a little nerve-wracking. But what do they tell us? If we're up there and we have a grizzly bear come after us, what do they tell you to do? If it actually gets to you and it starts going after you, what are you supposed to do?
Curl up in a ball.
Fetal position, hands over your head, duck down and try to just get into a ball. Like I'm the one thinking about me, I'm like, yeah, and he's looking at me like freaking big time meal for the day. I'm not gonna cover up, but that's what we're supposed to do, right? What's the reality of what most people will do?
Run.
Freeze.
Shove their buddy down and run? No, it's your wife you shove down. I'm just kidding, I would never do that. But the fact is, we want to avoid that mental strain. We want to be out of that situation. My daughter went through something just recently like that. She had a final for one of her classes, she just hated it. It was an AP class, AP History. It was a comprehensive final. She got studied up, went in there, and here it is, Friday. She's a little stressed out, but the teacher says, you know what, you've been one of the greatest classes I've ever had. Today, I'm going to give you an option. You can stay and take the test, or you can take the test home, do it over the weekend. You can use your notes, but it has to be on my desk Monday morning before or by 9 a.m. What do you think every kid in that class did? We're out of here. Took the test and left. When did they start working on it?
5 minutes before.
Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. You know how many of those kids failed? They failed because they didn't get it on the teacher's desk by 9 o'clock. My daughter was one of them. And she was furious and wanted me to call